Crazy video.
Okay, I hope you can see this okay, but you see there, it's a coil spring. And this is, actually it's got this airbag in here, but a lot of cars just got a coil spring. They also got another thing called leaf springs, but we're not going to get into that. We're just going to get a coil spring. You got one on the left rear, and then another one on the right rear. I hope you can see it all right. And then you got mounted also in here, which this car is missing right now, is shock absorbers. And there's the shock absorbers. And a car will have, the average car, would have 4 coil springs, one at each rear wheel and one at each front wheel, and then shock absorbers at each place. And I'm not no professional mechanic or anything, and I'm just making this video for people that are totally unfamiliar with the shock absorber. But that shock absorber mounts in here, and it helps the coil spring. And you've ever heard people talk about they got to replace the shocks in their car, or they got bad shocks? Well, it works like this. If your shocks are worn out, you're not going to have a very good ride. And I'm going to show you in a minute, because just those coil springs alone don't help, with that ride. They got a purpose, but you need a shock absorber. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here in just a second, so let's hold on. Here's my little buddy. He's always showing up for the action. Anyways, this rear part here doesn't have any shocks in it. I just showed you. With one finger, look. You ever see people when they go and they say you want to check the car to see if the shocks are good, and you push down on the seat if it bounces a lot? Well, this is what happens if you don't have a shock. I mean, one finger, I can get this thing going crazy. So if you can imagine what it would be like if you were driving down the road with all 4 shocks on, or they were completely, if your shocks were shot, your ride would be like, it would be insane. So we're going to show you in a little bit just what the difference it makes when you put shocks in this car. And that's it. The reason I'm talking about shock absorbers, and I got doing this video in the first place, is you see this stud right here? Shock absorber, the bottom shock hooks up to that. Now we go over to the other side, to the left shock. That stud that should be there is not there. So I just went and got online and looked at different places, and I found this. They had it at Advance Auto, and I think it's going to be a perfect fit. And it cost $6.99, which was better than what I found on eBay. So let's see if she fits or not. Hope you can see it okay. It definitely is a good fit. The part number is 31001 at the Dorman. That's the company's name that makes it, and it's going to work. I'm going to have to add in one more little washer to just make it tight. Beautiful. Okay, now you can see the shock absorbers are in, and you got right one in, and it's the center area, differential in there, and here's the left one, and you can see and that stud worked out. It was perfect fit. So they sell these for like, you know, modern cars. And this is a 1959 GM car. So that's pretty good. Okay, yesterday we saw how it would just go up and down like crazy with just the push of a finger with the shocks in. It doesn't. If I push down on this hard, now I'm pushing pretty hard. You see that? I can literally, now the whole thing comes down. But that's what happens if, you know, the shocks give you that. If you just hang in there, you're going to see a professional video showing
steering, shock absorbers, and tires. A car's suspension may be dependent or independent. In a dependent suspension, there is a rigid linkage between the two tires. The force acting on one wheel will affect the other two. An independent suspension system allows both wheels to move vertically up and down independently. Suspension are widely classified depending upon their designs. Suspensions range from MacPherson strut, push rod suspension, and solid axle beam suspension. You might have wondered about this thing in cars, called a leaf spring suspension. They are long, flexible bars installed on wheels to absorb the shocks. Engineers have tried many designs from wide springs, flexible bars, hydraulic springs, but nothing was better than the natural design of a wishbone suspension system. A wishbone suspension system replicates the design of a bird's wishbone. A wishbone would be snapped apart by two people, while they were each making a wish. The person holding the longer piece was said to have good fortune or a wish granted. A double wishbone suspension consists of two A-shaped arms. The drive shaft must be synchronized with the suspension. It have a special joint called double carbon joint to allow the vertical movement. If the drive shaft had been straight rod, the vertical movement would not have been allowed. Same is the case with steering rack. Thanks a lot for watching, and don't...
So that even when the arms are tilted by a jolt or bump, the wheel remains vertical and in perfect alignment. And so now, in place of a stiff spring, we can use a soft spiral spring to absorb the jolts and level out the bumps. Since the rigid beam and the swinging arms keep the front wheels in line, there is only one job left for our springs to do. With both front and rear springs equally soft, the platform is held in balance. But now that the front and rear springs are soft, we have another problem. Springs that are soft enough to level out the bumps will compress too rapidly under a heavy shock. And springs that are soft enough to absorb small shocks have a tendency to continue bouncing after they have been compressed or stretched. So to help the springs absorb heavy shocks, we can slow down their action by means of shock absorbers. The shock absorber acts like a brake in delaying the movement of the spring, and it prevents bouncing when the spring is compressed and then released. We can make the severest kind of test to see whether we have a method that will really iron out the ups and downs. We'll use a lot more bumps of different sizes, and we'll run them under our wheels at full speed. Now watch the traced line. The traced line seems to be pretty smooth. Let's watch through the slow motion camera and see just what's happening. No more pitching, and the soft springs with their shock absorbers spread out the effect of any bumps that they can't completely absorb. Of course, in actual practice, where strength and safety are of maximum importance, engineers have made use of these same bump-absorbing, road-leveling principles
with a much stronger and more durable construction. The front wheel is pivoted so that it can be steered in any direction and is mounted on a strong, upright arm. The upright arm is fastened to the rigid, immovable crossbeam by means of two parallel swinging arms. The swinging arms and the rigid crossbeam do all the work of keeping the wheels in perfect alignment. So the genuine soft knee action spring has only one job to do: cushion the bumps. A double action shock absorber controls both the compressing and stretching of the spring as it absorbs heavy jolts. This combination of soft cushioning springs, together with positive double action control on the front wheels, is balanced at the rear wheels by equally soft springs with the same type of double action shock absorbers for control.
That's real old school shock absorbers before they came out with the type you saw me installing. But I hope this helps somebody that never ever knew anything about it, and I thank everybody for putting up with me. Thanks a lot, and everybody have a great day.